Hello, everyone. This is the Easy Allies podcast. I'm Kyle Bossman, the Dark Prince of Nerd Media. Joining us this week, Bradley Ellis.
Hey.
Ben Moore.
Yo.
Brendan Jones.
Yeah.
And making this all happen, Ian Hink.
My finger instinctively cut away from you early when you started doing the Dark Prince thing.
Yeah.
Cut away all you want. You know I'm the truth.
That you're the truth?
He's the truth.
I'm the truth.
The truth in the way.
Let's begin corrections music, shall we, Jones? Heroes of New Earth is the game Damiani was thinking about.
Yeah, Han.
So, yeah.
It seemed like it was, yeah.
It had success at a point. At one point, it was the biggest mobile.
I played it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Damiani referenced Heroes of New Earth.
He went to an event for it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was so funny though, because like he kept trying to remember what it was, and then he said H-O-N, it's Han, H-O-N, and I was like, Heroes of New Earth? And then he was like, no, that's not it. You literally said the
It's a
abbreviation.
MOBA. You're like,
You did.
This is a MOBA.
I think it was because you pointed out that League came out before Heroes of New Earth, and he insisted that this thing came out before League.
Oh, yeah.
And so instead of being wrong about that one thing, he was just willing to let us hang in the air until not realizing that he was wrong until the week after.
Yeah.
I think that's how Damiani works.
Mm-hmm. Smooth operator.
He's a smooth operator.
It's a smooth up.
So Jango Fett and Boba Fett are canonically not Mandalorians.
Correct.
So Boba's a clone.
Yeah.
Correct.
And Jango just has the armor.
Yes.
We also learned that it's not true, it's false armor. It's not made out of Beskar. It's made out of some kind of steel. So it's like false Mandalorian armor.
Jango has false Mandalorian
Yeah,
armor?
it's not made out of Beskar.
How do we know that?
Because Huber
Some
looked it
book.
up.
Oh, okay.
So Django's just got style. That's basically
Yeah.
all that's happening.
Yeah, it turns out Jango was born on planet Vegeta. Ryuji is the Yosuke of Persona 5.
Yes.
What did we say?
This? What? What is happening, dude?
I think you said it backwards.
No.
last time.
I said it was kanji. I thought,
Oh.
so kanji is the Ryuji. And they're like, no. Yosuke is the Ryuji.
Yeah.
Okay. And corrections music, please.
Is this why you don't like Persona?
Junpei.
Who's the Junpei?
The Yosuke.
Oh, okay.
The Yosuke is the Junpei.
Stop this. So, that's not the end of corrections. And it's the end of corrections music, but it's not the end of corrections, because here's what happened last week. We got a lot of corrections that I didn't like to see.
Okay.
There is one phrase in the entire history of the Easy Eyes podcast that I've had to outlaw. Show some tact. No one is allowed to say that phrase ever on this podcast. However, sometimes a situation calls for me to lift the ban. Now, Jones,
On our community, no less.
on our community. The ban is on the community as well, is what you're saying? Okay.
No, we have to say it to the community, which hurts more than anything.
Normally, today we do. Today we have to say that to our community.
And you. I'll direct it at you as well.
Fair enough. Jones, it's your right. What happened was, Jones was corrected on a thing that he clearly knew about. Consistently corrected upon.
I brought it up.
Yes. He knows. And so now because of your action, commenters, correctors, I now have to lift the ban. Jones, you have the floor. You may use the phrase if you so choose.
Show some tact. Read the room. I brought it up. Said, this actor plays an important role in this video game, and he has a really good performance as that character in the game. And Kyle tried to guess what character it was. And it's like, there might be a reason I didn't say what character it was specifically, especially classic Jones with his just spoilers right and left. Like, I'm going to do my best here to not spoil this for our community.
Yeah.
And Kyle's like, no, I got to know now. And I was actually really proud of myself. If you know what this was and you know what character I'm talking about, you know what game I'm talking about, go back and look at that podcast. You can see me flinch. You can see in my eyes the moment where I'm like, and then I'm like, nope. And then I actually I was proud of myself. But I knew it. And two wonderful people reached out to me on Twitter, and I felt bad. I was like, I know.
All right, last chance. I'm going to put the ban back on. One last chance to get it out.
Show some tact.
Okay, ban is back on. I don't want to hear either of you two say that phrase.
Can I think it?
You can think it, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Time to play Santa's Video Game Advisory Board. This is, of course, where Santa Claus himself comes to Easy Allies for advice on whether or not to create this game.
He asks us. Santa Claus is not going to come to Easy Allies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just got real excited for a second
I did not mean
there.
travels to our studio.
okay.
Yeah,
I gave him the idea about the
Somehow
Santa
got
game
your email
already.
address. I don't know how that happened.
He loves that idea, Brad. Here's another one. Man, I don't know which one to pick. There's two really, really good ones.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, we're doing this one. Dear Santa, I come to you with a humble wish. I want a game that has the exploration, climbing, story, and treasure hunting adventure of Uncharted or Tomb Raider, but without all the murder. Can you grant my holly jolly wish? Love and respect, Goldilocks. And I wonder if, honestly, such a game can exist.
Yeah, it's funny to imagine you finally get to the ledge and you climb up and then like all the guys are there at the camp and you like walk into the camp and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're like, "Hey,
All right. Just doing some treasure stuff.
yeah."
Okay.
You can give them flowers.
Ooh.
You know?
I can see the YouTube thumbnails now. All you do is climb?
Yeah.
You won't believe.
Just make an Indiana Jones game, but there's no enemies and no bad guys.
Indie murders.
But there's nothing there, though. He just keeps... The whole point of the game is he keeps expecting there to be something, but there's nothing ever there. He, like, sees a Nazi flag. He's like, oh, God, here we go. Gets out his pistol. They're just dead already.
They were there last week.
He's like,
but
oh,
they-
my God.
They've moved on.
I love in our non-violent adventure game, there's Nazi flags everywhere.
It's a historical piece.
Murder doesn't mean there isn't combat.
True, you're right. The word used was murder. I guess
Yeah.
it could be combat.
Because it
Or
makes
you
me
could
think
just
of
run.
It
from
makes me
them.
think of Death Stranding, which has combat but de-emphasizes murder.
Uh-huh.
So,
Truly.
yeah.
Well, yeah, you're close.
And
Yeah.
you climb a
You
lot.
want a little taste of that, yeah?
So I'm sorry, are the Nazis still in?
Dude, they gotta be.
Death
But they're
Stranding?
already dead.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Because they opened the covenant too early before
Yeah.
Indy
Yeah.
got there.
Their faces are melted, but they're there.
And he's like, oh my God. Thank God I wasn't here for this.
I
I'm
think
gonna have to knock all these Nazis out.
Santa might end this deal after this
do
week.
you mean, Santa?
Santa might end this deal.
It's a good idea, Santa. Ben, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, dude. Come on.
Okay.
It's true.
Fair enough. Santa, get to work. Time for news. We get to bring back a little ditty that I realized I thought I would be using a lot this year. A segment called When's Next Gen?
Fall 2020.
And I'm excited for two reasons, Jones.
Wasn't that a Pepsi theme song?
I think so.
That is the Spice Girls. I think they wrote the song and it was definitely used in a Pepsi ad, which is the only reason I knew it.
Do
But
we have
I-
the rights to that?
Probably the only reason they wrote it.
We don't have the rights
10
to
seconds.
it, but YouTube, what are you gonna do, YouTube? It's 4 seconds, bud.
There's some rock songs that are used in movie trailers, and I'm like, you wrote that for a movie trailer, didn't you, rock band? You know, they're just so
Like everything-
perfect. They're just,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
sure.
you knew they were making Starship Troopers, and you wrote that
Or
song.
every Imagine
Blur.
Dragons
Or what's
song?
is it Blur? What's
Yeah,
the
it's
other
Blur.
one?
Sure, yeah.
That was Blur with song 2.
I want somebody to get up on that E3 stage and say, "Welcome to Generation Next." That's
Yeah.
what I want.
Generation. It's Cerny. So it's not just the return of When's Next Gen, one of our most popular segments. It's also the return of a popular character. Jones's most popular character,
Knack?
Anaconda Lockhart. Lockhart, turns out, we've learned this week, is not dead. Lockhart's alive and thriving, Jones. He's so ready to just break into Anaconda Lockhart.
I want to hear from him. I did an impression of him, but I can't. I'm not going to put words in his mouth for sure.
So what happened was, Schreier's back. He's paternity leave over, presumably.
Back again.
Yeah, he's back again. He's keeping the podcast running. Appreciate your work, man. What would I do without you? Really, I have to feel like if you look at the 50 or so podcasts we do in a year, Schreier gives us 12. Right? Like, I feel like the 12 of them are Schreier headlines. So Kotaku's reporting that, let me give it their official title, Sources. Microsoft is still planning a cheaper diskless next-gen Xbox. And so what had happened, why Anaconda Lockhart died, it was after E3. Microsoft had only mentioned basically, hey, we're making the most powerful console we can. And they talked about one console. And then headlines showed up from like Thurrott.com. The Microsoft insiders are like, yeah, dudes, Lockhart's dead. They're not doing it anymore. And so ever since then, no murmurs, no whisperings. We just kind of all assumed that was the truth, that there would be one very powerful next Xbox coming fall 2020. But for some reason, this just popped up this week that they're still working on it. This is pretty nutty stuff. I want to give you all, before we break into it too much, the most important paragraphs from this article. This is a blurb. I don't want to start there. I'm not going to start there. That's too spicy to start with. I want to give everybody a nice idea of what we're talking about when we talk about Lockhart in comparison to Anaconda, the powerful one. Anacondas, big snakes, they wrap around their prey and suffocate them to death just from sheer force of will, right? They just squeeze you with their snaky muscles until you die. So that's what...
But only if there are buns.
Hun.
They don't want none unless there are buns, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, Brad, so brutal, dude.
It's like gold member, dude. Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Number one way to tank a bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, I know that.
If you don't kill them,
Torpedoed, I
they'll
love
just
it.
keep going.
I know it, Brad. Yeah, it was a good strategy. Okay. Microsoft's ideal target performances are said to be 4K resolution and 60 frames per second on Anaconda, the big snake, and 1440p resolution and 60 frames per second on Lockhart. That doesn't mean that every single game on these consoles will live up to that performance. It's the target that Microsoft is pushing developers to hit. So we have a kind of frame of reference. 1440p is kind of where PlayStation Pro does normally right now. It'll do checkered 4K. I don't want to get into that with the correctors, but it's basically like, think of Lockhart as that. As we said earlier, also discless, kind of like the digital-only Xbox One S that you can currently buy. For dirt cheap, by the way.
Dirt cheap?
I mean, no, not dirt
For a
cheap.
console?
But yeah, I was looking at it. It was like $170 on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude.
That's pretty cheap.
That is pretty dang cheap.
Cool.
And then I want to cover this paragraph too, and then we'll get into it. For many months, rumors have swirled about the performance differences between Scarlet and the PlayStation 5. And pundits have speculated as to which console will be beefier. And I like this. I like that Schreier's like, y'all are pundits. Yeah, it's like...
Pundits.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of pundits. You know what? You're right. What's become clear, based on our conversations with developers, is that there's no straight answer to that question yet. Common consensus is that both consoles have roughly similar specs, and the biggest differences may lie in other factors like operating system features or slight technical edges that Sony or Microsoft are keeping under wraps. By the way, it mentioned basically in the opening of their article that they talked to 4 people. 4 different people who had been briefed recently by Microsoft is Kotaku's source on this. So it's all to be believed, basically.
I mean, I think it's up, Kotaku doesn't want that question to be answered, because then that's not an exciting thing anymore. If we know definitively, this one console is going to be a little bit beefier than the other one.
Jones,
it just seems like a question that'll never be answered because they want to keep, is it? They
that question is going to be asked
right in those headlines.
all next year.
Of course.
I'm not looking
They're going to be in our
forward to
hands.
it.
We're going to be like, well, there's a lot to consider.
Yeah, man. Like
So.
it is, maybe it was lucky when it was just like one is just clearly better. It is going to be like, well, this game's better on this game's better on this. I think it's going to be very, very close. It's going to be weird.
This discussion is making me realize how much the media landscape has changed. Do you remember that Killzone 2 trailer?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That generated so
Oh, my
much
goodness.
controversy?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like people were talking about that forever. Like, that doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
Like, you get a week. You know what I
Of
mean?
hype, you mean?
No, just like
Attention.
there's too many stories.
Oh, sure.
And the awareness of those stories is happening all the time. Like, you're not going to talk about a trailer like that in the same way that you did a couple of generations ago.
We do get more examples of that. We just don't talk about them as much. Metro Exodus comes to mind. The first time we saw Metro Exodus, and we like ziplined down to the train, and I was like, "What is this?" And everyone was like, "No, this is like rendered with the engine, but is not in real time. Like, it's CG. Stop. It's like it's not. It's fake. It's not real. There's a real clear line. It is or it is not. And yeah." It's interesting. It's kind of like the jump from the Super Nintendo to the 64, when the PS1 first came out. Like, we're never going to get a jump like that again. And like that PS3 versus 360, when everyone was, the PS3 was a little darker or a little lighter in some games. Like, we're just never going to see that direct visual competition again where it was like never couldn't stop. Like when GT, we could just didn't matter what game it was, we would just put up a comparison video and it would just do hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
Because people were just screaming, much more than we did for countdowns, like which we like would write a script for and to pick all this stuff. And it's just like you want that that tension. It's just there's nothing like it.
Are you telling me the graphical comparisons, fall of 2020, these two consoles launch, are you telling me that won't get hundreds of thousands of clicks? I think it totally will.
Depends on the channel. I personally don't care.
Okay.
It's just not the reason I'm going to play something on one system more than another.
Yeah.
I think PC is a totally different story. If you say PC versus either of those, like I get that.
Yeah.
A lot of graphical comparisons are pretty bad. They just are kind of showing things side by side, or the way they edit them together is not very useful. Whereas now with Digital Foundry, it's presented in a way that feels more useful, more technical, more in-depth. And so I think for a lot of people, having that definitive source has changed things a little bit.
Sure. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the Lockhart existing again. I want to talk about the strategy behind this thing. So I think it's safe to presume it'll be at least $100 cheaper. It might be $200 cheaper as the digital-only version is compared to the One X currently. Is this a good strategy? It's not clear to me throughout this entire article. I think it's implied that the intention is to launch these two things side by side day one.
That's not a good strategy.
I don't think so either.
No, don't do that.
As I said, they usually do they usually have one come out, then the other thing later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why? Oh.
I feel more confident about Lockhart now than I did when we were initially talking about
How come?
Because I think about the launch of the Xbox One, and I think the unknown is very scary. Unproven ideas are very scary. And now Microsoft is entering a completely different arena, to their credit, that they've totally established. You see people commenting like, I don't buy games anymore, I just use Game Pass. That has changed the way that I've played games. And so this thing has been around long enough and generated enough goodwill where I think if you're doing the Scarlet and you're going to have a high price tag, but you can say, hey, if you want this, it's going to be a lower price point, and look at these hundreds of games that you get day one, I think it makes more sense to the audience now because of precedent than before.
So then my feeling, though, is that the people who are buying this first off, that first month, your early adopters, they don't want a weaker version of a next-gen console. And so I think like saying next-gen is here and it's basically the same as a PS4 Pro, I think that just bombs.
I think it depends on how you market it. And I think there maybe is a line that you can thread, and it's a worrisome line, but if you can be like, hey, you can play everything, here are the comparisons, here are going to be your differences. Like, I don't know. In my mind, I think there's kind of an audience out there that is like, I'm okay with that, and I'll save money, and I'll have Game Pass. Because the people, I think, that are probably in for Scarlet immediately do care about those differences.
Yeah.
In maybe a way that a more general audience wouldn't, but they still want to play new games, especially if it's something huge.
I think
as well.
A thought occurred to me that maybe we're overlooking something, is that maybe they aren't going to, maybe Lockhart being able to PlayStation Pro new games isn't the point of this thing. Maybe it's just a more dedicated xCloud box.
It's really fair, and it's
Like,
even
maybe
mentioned in the
that's-
article that that's a huge emphasis for this thing is the xCloud.
Like, so I don't think they're going to market it as, hey, it's the crappier version of the new Xbox. They're going to market it as, here's a dedicated xCloud device.
Sure.
Like, I don't think they're going to even pretend that they're the same thing. Maybe it can also download games, whatever, but like, yeah, that's my guess.
I think that is a terrific guess. I think that is really hard to market November of 2020.
Yeah, it'd be hard to come out day and date. with
Yeah,
that.
I don't like it.
It might even come out first.
Ooh, you just launched this little baby in September? Like,
Yeah, like get ready for xCloud.
I just wonder if they have the
Will
sales.
also be forward compatible.
The sales like numbers to back up doing this, like comparison selling one version of the Xbox compared to the other, if it's worth it actually for them. If they're like, so many people buy this, like the S or whatever compared to the X, they're like, it's still valuable
that's
for
what's
us to do
frustrating
it.
is we have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea what
The
the
individual SKUs
console
sell.
sales breakdowns is from any Microsoft product.
But that's the other thing is, I mean, both with the 360 and the different hard drive configurations, and with the Xbox One and the different versions that they're using, like, they're doing this for a reason. Like, clearly they have the market research to back up that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And they haven't stopped.
You know what I thought of? I thought of the Wii U Deluxe.
Okay,
Sure.
That was a thing?
So yeah, the Wii U Deluxe was $50 more than the standard Wii U, and the Wii U Deluxe sold more. It had a bigger hard drive, and it actually sold more than the one that was cheaper. And I think that my prediction would be if you put out Lockhart and Anaconda same day, Anaconda sells more, but a huge margin, like 2-1.
Right. I think that's probably true. But the Wii U Deluxe is a poor example because that thing did not feel like a deluxe machine. Like,
right, and the Anaconda will.
right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Like, even on the Wii U Deluxe, you download like one game and your hard drive's full. And the whole point was that the thing had a bigger hard drive. And so it felt flaccid as a deluxe console.
Even that outsold the cheap version. So I don't think it's always price. I like people like price always wins. It's not true. Price does not always win.
Here's a weird thought. What if the Lockhart comes with like 2 years of free Games Pass or like 2 years of xCloud or something? And
Lock in a year.
It doesn't. Yeah.
A free year.
Ian, for sure.
But
like 6
Anaconda
months at
doesn't.
least.
Yeah. Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Just to make it more weird.
Yeah. I just think they're going for different audiences with this thing, though.
It's got to be one. You got.
Well, they're going to support their hardcore audience that'll always buy like the X or whatever. But there's definitely a group out there that don't care about that.
Then they don't.
But I think it's going to be a lot less.
They don't.
But they still
just
want
don't
that.
buy a thing that year. That audience just doesn't buy a thing in 2020.
Maybe.
Like I don't think you need to get both at day one.
Or maybe they're looking at Apple and being like, "What's the big deal? Why can't we do that?"
Yeah.
I just had an insane idea.
Okay.
Okay, have we seen these? Like the physical, like whatever?
No.
I have, but most people haven't.
Okay.
right.
Well, what
Two.
if this is probably not true, but what if Lockhart is handheld?
Ian, no.
No?
Interesting. Ian.
What if they're trying to cut into the Switch market?
That's an interesting idea.
Very, very fun, interesting idea. And like, right, that could be the very last thing Schreier was mentioning, that like they still have secrets here, but like I think
They're going.
I
for
think
the
we need to
any
have a
st-
whiff of
They're
this
going
at
for
that
the
point.
any.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Yeah.
xCloud already takes care of that
Yeah.
Play on your
already.
yeah, fair enough. Just Bluetooth your controller and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
fine.
because it's everything. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, and we're kind of getting onto that, Ian, is this one sentence, which is the scary sentence, the juicy one. Oh. Game developers will be expected to support both Anaconda and Lockhart, which some are worried might hamper their ambitions for next-gen games in the coming years. And again, I want to make it clear there were 4 sources. So when he says some, that's between 2 and 4 people. But so like, don't get too scared.
Right.
But the idea is Lockhart would become the new baseline for next gen.
Right.
Your game needs to run on this or greater, as opposed to these awesome Anaconda or greater. And so that is like the scary, disappointing, nervous thing to read.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair way to look at it, but at the same time, again, the precedence is there where we already have that disparity with the original Xbox One and the Xbox One X.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're already dealing with a dramatic disparity, and they're serving completely different audiences, and they haven't really strayed away from that mode of thinking. And going into the next generation, I mean, if you can have an audience make those comparisons where it's like, oh, this is the console for me, it kind of serves the same function as this other thing, I think that's to your advantage.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard to say. As a non-game developer, it's really hard to say. Coming into a new generation, we see the montages of developers saying, this opens up so many opportunities for us.
Right.
I have all these game ideas I could never do before. I wonder if that's even true anymore. I wonder if there are game designs you could have right now that are not possible on current gen, but will be possible next gen. So I do see that as like a kind of like, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this will happen, but it would be interesting if there was a point where it was like, if you want to play this on Lockhart, you'll have to use xCloud.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? That thing's diskless. We already assume you have an internet connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is I wonder about the messaging for all of the Inside Xbox episodes. I wonder about the messaging at their press conferences. I see them launching with Scarlet. I see them launching with Anaconda, and then Lockhart comes later down the road. Which is why
I would love that.
Which is why I wonder if that's why we didn't hear about it for a while. That,
Yeah.
like maybe they stopped working on it for a bit, and we're like, hey, we're getting close to showtime. We really need to kind of move these people over to make sure, just to check everything, all our boxes on Anaconda, and then we can get back to Lockhart and then have that ready for whenever we want to launch it. Maybe the exact month in 2020 is kind of fluctuating, but I just wonder again at the they love to do world exclusive and all these little like preloaded things in their press conferences. It's like, what's the messaging where it's just like runs best on Anaconda, runs okay on Lockhart, or something? You're like, wait, no, it's gonna be, you need to get this big giant thing because all the stuff we're advertising, Halo Infinite, clearly this is the system that you need to play this on because it's gonna kick so much ass. And then you get all those people running out there and getting that game. And then, the people are like, do I fork over the cash to buy that expensive thing now? Or do I maybe wait because there's rumors that there's going to be some other console? And then when they announce that one, it's like, oh, okay, then they can have these two big fun moments as opposed to one giant moment that's kind of confusing.
That's the thing is your messaging is
if
so
one
simple.
console sells more than the other, it's kind of hard to look at that less selling console as a failure in some weird way. I just see the messaging being cloudy over the whole thing.
I do think that is a really good point, and that has made me think of the Xbox One S, but more recently the Switch Lite, where I feel like the Switch Lite came out at the perfect time, where the Switch wasn't ancient, but it had been out long enough that even though the Switch Lite wasn't a more powerful thing, I think people were just kind of excited to talk about hardware, and you were able to get in a new audience who were reminded like, oh yeah, I haven't jumped on board with the Switch yet. Maybe I will now. And I think that space and the timing they chose was so crucial. And so I think you could just avoid that whole confusion by doing a similar thing where you just focus, and that makes sense to me. So you just do Scarlet, you have everybody kind of get that into their systems for a while, and then you do this other unveiling. And by that point, like, people aren't going to be upset about it because if they are super invested, they already have a Scarlet, which is basically what you mentioned. So.
Or potentially some of these games are still playable on Xbox One and Xbox One S. Like there will be a lot of stuff that is available in Game Pass that you can get on both.
Man, imagine, so Halo Infinite launching next year. Imagine if they do have Anaconda Lockhart same day. There's 5 different versions of that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you know what
crazy.
I mean? And again, it's just the whole thing of, which is not a massive problem, but just parents getting confused, consumers getting confused. They bought the wrong thing. And in this, it's like they're kind of like manipulating their audience under the guise of helping them. So it's like they're manipulating them by saying, you're like, I know they're making Lockhart. I know there's going to be this cheaper version, but I gotta get this game, that's not Infinite, that is exclusive to the Xbox Anaconda. But then later it's like, well, you wanted that cheaper option. Here it is. And it's like, well, we knew you were making it, and you were just holding out. The funny thing about the Switch Lite though is a lot of that's not true about the, either any PlayStation, lesser PlayStation or lesser Xbox that you could get, is a lot of people bought the Switch Lite just because it looked cool. We're like, nobody's going to buy the, the Scarlet nobody's going to buy the Lockhart because it
people like having objects.
Some people do. Some people buy they'll buy a bundle or something for like a PS4 with Darth Vader on it. But it's funny.
I wonder if, from Microsoft's perspective, they're maybe thinking less about the traditional push as many consoles as possible and get as many Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions as you can
in the ecosystem.
So their mentality is, yes, you're going to have all these different ways to play, but the wider the net we cast, the more people that we get subscribed to Game Pass, maybe for an entire generation. Yeah. Rather than doing the old model of like, well, they might buy it, but then they'll trade it in immediately, or they might not be able to get that many games or whatever. Like, if we can get that subscription, that's the most important thing to us. And Ben, I think that's a good place to end that, because I think that is absolutely their strategy going forward. If you look at everything about this generation, and actually, yes.
And the way they've shocked us with Game Pass, I'm sure they're going to shock us with xCloud. I'm sure there's going to be some really crazy, presents that they give to, the community at large, and just in terms of how all of that functions, because they love doing that and it's worked out well for them.
Oh yeah,
it's something that we kind of think about when we think about Microsoft gaming.
you're going to be able to play first-party Sony games on xCloud, and Sony won't know about it.
They won't know about it. They don't know how to stop us. I would love that. I'm playing Uncharted 4. They don't know how to stop me.
They can't stop me.
They don't know. I do want to share this tweet from Phil Spencer.
Yes.
At Xbox P3. And it's started. This week, I brought my Project Scarlet console home, and it's become my primary console. Playing my games, connecting to the community, and yes, using my Elite Series 2 controller. Having a blast.
Pre-order now.
Great work by the team. 2020 is going to be an incredible year. I think that's fun.
What is the point of that tweet?
The and yes kills me.
Yeah.
And yes.
And yes.
Like, I was going to tweet him if he was using...
So buy it now so you can play it later.
I mean, my favorite part of that tweet is primary console.
Yeah.
Because, obviously that means he's moved on from the Xbox One and now is doing all this stuff on the Scarlet. Yeah. But to me, that means that PS4 Pro is right next to that Scarlet.
Yeah.
And I wonder,
he has one.
How often,
Oh, how often does it turn out? Yeah.
And what? You know? When it...
Booted up for God of War.
I bet he plays the big boys.
And Uncharted and Last of Us.
I bet he gave Death Stranding a shot, said not for me, and gave it maybe one night.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm happy that exists, but I don't know.
I don't get
He
it.
tweets at Kojima great work, but I'm good. I mean, exactly. Kind of pointless tweet. Not really much to talk about
Just
there.
building hype, dude.
Yeah. It's
Well, it's. I mean, Layden's gone. Reggie's gone. So he's still kind of like.
I'm still here.
There definitely is a vibe from him that he's like, hey, we're all friends.
Yeah.
I'm your buddy. We're all hanging out playing games.
Yeah.
if you play Forza, we might race together. He
won't leave
definitely
you.
wants that vibe from the community. So
I like. I'm 100% in support of that tweet. Okay. We had a leak. We had a few leaks. We talked a couple of weeks ago. I think it was just 2 weeks ago on this very podcast about some rumors about Resident Evil 3.
Ooh, yeah.
And that it could potentially come in 2020. And we're like, well, that seems early. That seems soon. I know it's coming, but maybe that part's not true. Just this week, on the PlayStation Store, box art was found that had been uploaded to the PlayStation Store for
Shouldn't have done that.
Resident Evil 3.
Shouldn't have done.
Yeah, maybe hold off. Maybe hold off for a
Cool
sec.
jets.
What's the rush?
And it's there. It is apparent. It is clear. It is
Beautiful.
Yes.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
You're
Near
like,
impossible
yes.
to make up. To just I threw that together in a couple weeks. Gotcha.
That's a weird thing about 2019. I feel like all of our leaks were real this year. All of our leaks came to fruition.
Compelling.
Yes. So yeah, what you see is you
Like
see
the Grinch was the very last thing.
I was
gonna
gonna
say,
say,
wait,
Smash
that was the end of an
Rumor
era.
came true.
that was last year. Yeah.
Banjo came true, so I guess, yeah.
Haha, I made you believe in Banjo. It's like, okay. Okay, so sorry, back to Resident Evil 3. You see the box art, you see Nemesis. He's got a new look.
Yeah.
He's got caution tape on him.
I
Yeah,
didn't
caution.
notice.
Yeah, he looks cool. He looks scary. He looks updated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looks in a way just like, oh, that's at least a take. It's at least something.
Yeah, he's
new.
got the popsicle
I think
stick
that's the
teeth.
thing that's
Yeah.
amazing about the Resident Evil 2 remake and this art from the Resident Evil 3 remake is they look updated but completely true to those characters.
Yeah.
And I very commendable.
And they did the same thing with the humans that they did with the humans in 2, where it's like, oh, these look like things these people would actually be wearing, and they look like they're actually people in this situation. It's great.
This is why I'm still so bitter about Link's Awakening. Because, that's what it looked like. And if they did that for Resident Evil, it'd be just big, blocky cartoon people. It's like,
Right.
that's what it looked like on PlayStation 1. You know what I mean? It's like,
Also
no.
need to see the character's name, who I'm totally
Just can't let it
escaping, the
go.
third character that
Carlos?
goes on that.
Carlos.
Carlos,
Yeah.
who was not advertised at all. I don't recall.
So I want to talk about that big time.
The RE3 advertising originally for that game was just all
Jill?
Yeah.
all Jill, yeah.
So Carlos is...
Well, and Nemesis.
And
Yeah, Nemesis is the only guy in the box, which is cool.
Right.
Originally, sorry, we're not talking about this new one. But anyway, Carlos is prominent on this box art. And he's not equal size, he is behind Jill. But let's say if I had never played RE3 before, I just finished RE2 Remake, right? Had a great time this year. Probably my 2018 GOTY, right? I love this game.
2019.
Oh, 2019, right, that's this year. So I'm seeing this for the first time. I'm like, oh, cool. So those are the two people with the new 2 campaigns.
Right.
Would you not think that?
Yeah,
looking
if
at
I
this
didn't
box
know,
art?
probably, yeah. I'd be like, oh, it's probably the same thing.
Is there a chance we're playing as Carlos?
Yeah, what
Yes.
if?
Yeah.
What if,
I mean,
dude?
you do in the original.
You do? You do for a little while?
Yeah.
For a section?
Dude, the game's old. Dude.
No. But it's not A and B.
No.
It's not like a full story playthrough. It is like you play as him for a section. And
Well,
so
neither
yeah,
is RE2 Remake. Hey-o.
it does though, right?
Not really. Not
It's
not in
not-
the way the original
It's
did.
not the
Okay.
same.
And
Got
from
it,
what
got
it sounded like, that was just kind of like, oh, we're not going to do that. People are like, you're not going to do what? And they were like, oh, do that quickly.
Yeah.
But I wonder because there's the two, Resident Evil 2, there's 2 campaigns, 2 characters split.
3 campaigns in
Whereas, like,
3?
no, it's like all the RE games are different. I think you can, at least if you're just kind of on the outside looking in, that like, 3, maybe there is a difference between 2 and 3, but like 4 is very different from 3, 5 very different from 4. So like they all kind of establish themselves, in a different way. They all have a different vibe.
What's 3 sell? How do you sell 3?
Nemesis.
Nemesis, God.
I had Mr. X
Yeah,
in
well,
one.
that's the
and two,
thing.
though.
He was like different than Mr. X, or
Yeah.
different than Nemesis for sure.
But I think you do have to do something. Like it can't just be Mr. X again.
Yeah.
Right. You can obviously use that as a point of comparison and a start, but they have to, I think, make it clear to people that it's different. But all that aside, based on the Resident Evil 2 remake and how much they did with it, how much they changed, that is what is so exciting about this. Like you say, you could come up with a lot of ideas, and I'm like, yeah, maybe they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think this is going to be an extremely literal translation of Resident Evil 3.
yeah, it'll be different. Just like 2 was.
Brad, is there a chance this game sells better than 2? Is there a slightest chance?
Yeah, I'd say there's a chance. I don't know if it will, but I'd say there's definitely a chance.
I think it's harder in 2020.
Yeah. It's not only
Well, it
you're
depends when it comes out in
busy
2020.
year, stacked year, but also to me it's a less iconic game. RE2 is, is
Sure,
Resident Evil.
sure,
And
yeah.
then RE3 is just kind of like, oh yeah, that was a cool game.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And so it's in this weird position where I feel like you can't put as much budget into it as you did 2, maybe equal budget for sure, but I just can't see it surpassing 2. And Jones, you were nodding as if you think it's totally doable.
It's hard for me to imagine someone who bought and played Resident Evil 2 that is not going to buy and play Resident Evil 3.
And I think that is a good
That's
point to
insane.
bring up.
That's crazy to me. They're just like, another one of those? Nah, that's good.
Fair. Yeah. Definitely 2 should have come first, right? Like if
Yeah.
it was 3,
Yeah.
then 2. Yeah.
Especially if it
Yeah.
wins even one GOTY this year, like to have the
Right.
sequel the next year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like what they're doing with these remakes is like I don't know if you've ever sat in a Tesla and have them just hit the gas, man, but it's just, like your
Have
brain
you?
just blasts.
Of course he has.
Okay. all
Brand
right.
manager.
This
But
is some brand
That's some
manager
Phil
shit
Spencer
right now.
But like
I was holding my Project Scarlet.
even worse if I said it was my Tesla. I don't own a Tesla. But
Right.
It just everything is just going so much faster than I could ever possibly expect, and so it's just like it was like you were saying. It's like why not? Why? And that was kind of like I think I would hope. I think I actually kind of downplayed it when we talked about it a couple weeks ago because I was like, it's too many dreams. It's too many dreams like to come true. And now we're at the point where it's like, why not, man? This might be bigger and better, than anything that they did with RE3.
yeah.
Even at the time, I remember how quickly it came around and really like reading magazines being like, when does this take place? Oh, it's kind of in between. And like, okay, this is just like the side story. This is like a guidance of Resident Evil, that we'll get through and we'll kind of fill in some gaps. And we know the audience is hungry, so we want to get this to them. And this could be just crazy. I mean, if they planned far enough ahead that they were like, if we're gonna do 2, let's,
That's the thing is, I feel like we are driven by narratives in the gaming space today. And so what I fear of is the narratives of this game being $60 and somehow being less than RE2. If it doesn't have 2 campaigns, if it's if it's shorter, like RE3, I think even at the time it sold less than RE2. It was like, hey, it's not as big of a deal as RE2 is, and like everybody accepted that, and like, oh, there's we're back in Raccoon City and all those things. I just feel like there's more blowback today. I think it needs something very, very special about it. I think you need to play through as Nemesis. You know what I mean? I do think it
Nemesis
needs
mode.
something crazy.
Invade other people's games as Nemesis. They need to play up the hell out of Nemesis, man.
Yes,
they need
Jones.
to.
I didn't even think about invading.
You need to see.
Fun.
As a fan, I need to see a scene of Nemesis doing something, and I'm like, I don't even know what scene that's from.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't disagree with you, Kyle, but I think Resident Evil 3, especially coming off this high point of Resident Evil 2, I think Resident Evil 3 is a game that will also fill this weird void of like, oh, that was the one I missed. I really loved Resident Evil 2. I'm gonna play this. Like,
Yeah.
I think because it's less beloved, you're gonna get even maybe more changes, and feeling like it can't miss event. Like, I think that even more than Resident Evil 2, that this will feel like a brand new Resident Evil game. I think this has the potential for it.
Cool.
You know what I might try to dodge from a marketing standpoint? That's a bummer. They like keep it in the game, but just kind of just scoot past that when you're making your trailers. Get out of Raccoon City. Because if you show me shots of her like, the city's on flames, it's like, if I don't know anything about the franchise, it's like, well, is that 2? Like, really? New sequel and we're back in the city? Like,
So you're
it looks
showing,
like
you
kind
say
of the same
show some mid to
locations.
late game stuff is mandatory. You have to.
Just show me as someone who knows nothing about 3.
I kind of think you're
which
right.
is why you really got to lean into Nemesis.
Yeah.
You really got it. It's like, well, I saw that movie and that was pretty stupid. Like, no, not
Like,
that
Movie
guy.
was pretty stupid.
Nemesis anime style has to kill Mr. X in the trailer. Nemesis has to squash him, so oh, that's the power level of Nemesis.
With his rocket launcher, dude.
Yeah, you need some sort of escalation to be immediately apparent that this guy is crazier than the other crazy guy.
Kyle, they're not going to do that, but I think that is a great idea. Just to open the reveal.
Nemesis and Smash.
Yeah.
It's clear. It writes itself.
Oh,
Very
man.
hyped.
Funny side thing before you move on. I looked up on how long to beat because I had a memory of Nemesis being way shorter than Resident Evil 2 also.
Yeah.
They're basically the same.
Oh, wow.
Main story is 6 hours, 6.5 for both, 8 hours, 8.5 for both. The completionist run is 11.5 for Nemesis and 15 for 2. But
So to me, that's good, Ian, because
Yeah.
I presume completionist is talking about both playthroughs of
campaigns.
2.
well, but then it says all styles, and both of those are like 7 hours, 7.5. So to me, all styles means A, B. So I don't know what the hell's going on with
How
this.
confusing.
But yeah,
That's average, though.
but
'cause
they're
you
like
can- I
roughly
wonder.
the same length, kinda.
But again, beating those campaigns fast is classic Resident Evil. New
Right.
Game Plus, classic Resident Evil. Like,
I'm glad they leaned into that with the new games, too.
And if 2020 is like next gen heavy hitters, it's like, I won't mind, drinking that game up and moving on to something else. Maybe in less time than I did with RE2.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil 2 DLC was really, really cool, though, and this is something that maybe they could take advantage of in Resident Evil 3, where, especially since you're talking about, hey, get away from Raccoon City, well, what if we're still in Raccoon City, but you get dramatically different perspectives?
Yeah.
Perspectives that maybe you've never gotten in a game before, characters that don't play like Jill and Leon and Claire and all that stuff, that are maybe more limited in some ways, enhanced in others. That's kind of an Outbreak style
Wesker mode.
thing, but I don't know.
Just blow mercenaries out of the water.
Like, how could you not have faith at
Yeah.
this point?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's real hard.
Mercenaries. That could be in it.
Did they not add that to 2
No,
eventually?
it was-
Ooh,
So-
boy.
I don't think so.
My goodness.
You know what is worth bringing up, and I just totally forgot about it until this point in the conversation, is that 2020 will also have that Resident Evil multiplayer game.
Oh, right.
So I
what was it
imagine
called
they're not
again?
going to want to dance on each other's toes too much.
Yeah, I mean,
Dance. Dance monkey. Pew, 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 pew.
I'm trying to remember the name of it, and I
can't remember.
cannot. Resident Evil.
Survivor? No.
No, that's the
Extinction.
Yeah.
No.
Project Resistance?
That is
Yes,
Project
Ian.
Resistance.
Well done.
Oh yeah, those college kids.
Those college kids
Do
who
we have
look
a
very
release date
old.
for that?
No, we
Kyle
don't.
in a hoodie with a shotgun.
So we have to presume that's coming out before RE3, right?
Spring, 3, summer, fall.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
They could do a generation port for 3. Could be on PS5 or Xbox, Anaconda or whatever, Scarlet.
do you think Resident Evil 8, the inevitable Resident Evil 8, will follow the influence of the remakes, or more so the influence of Resident Evil 7?
Whoa, good question.
I would go 7, 100%.
Yeah. Have your pillars,
Nothing
man.
went wrong there.
Yeah.
Maybe
You know,
they'll keep the
that game was celebrated. That game
vibes.
I
sold
keep it
really,
first
really
person,
well.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
you gotta separate that stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, are they gonna do 4?
And
Holy
They'll do Code
I was
Veronica.
thinking
Code
about them
Veronica
doing four.
first,
Holy
probably.
cow. That
So-
seems like such a big project, but like, can you imagine just the absolute, Scrooge McDuck, just giant towers of gold that they would make from? Oh my god.
I can't. I frankly can't imagine what RE4 remake would look like.
Get Mikami.
Here's an interesting
that engine. Oh.
factotum. Resident Evil 2, just based on a cursory Googling, Resident Evil 2 sold 4.2 million units, and Resident Evil 7 sold 3.5. So they might go back.
I mean, 6 sold the most out of everything.
Well, that was a mistake.
Well, and it's just like Pokemon Go, Let's Go, all that stuff. All of that is leading up to the main event to sell bigger, better than ever. And so like that's what they're doing. They're trying to get everybody, as many different styles, many people, the old fans, new fans, people have no idea what it is, people who just want to play the top selling games.
It's just the way Resident Evil 2 played. Like, I left that game hungry for more. I needed another game that took those ideas and continued with them. And I love Resident Evil 7, I really do. But I just wonder if after Resident Evil 3, I'll feel the same way. If I'm like, oh no, I want this style, or if
I think you'll be ready. I honestly think you'll be ready for that first-person horror game again.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it'll be first person because depends if they want to invest in VR again, if it was worth it for them.
Yeah, I
like,
do.
That's the reason that game's in first person.
Do you think so?
Yes.
100%?
I think they needed a new idea, and they're like, VR is a great new idea.
And Sony will give us money for doing this
Sure,
in VR. Yeah, I mean, they did pay a little bit.
I mean, it'd
They
still
helped
be
out a
awesome.
bit. Yeah.
I mean, it plays great still, not in VR, but...
Update, those numbers were wrong. 7 sold
Okay.
5.1. But so they sold similar numbers.
Sure.
Resident Evil 2 is like almost 5 million. So yeah.
It's still crazy. Man, I would stick with the 7 route.
I frankly don't want to talk about this anymore because this game's not even announced yet, man. I'm getting
8.
so pumped.
You're thinking of 8
Any
right
of these
now.
games. 3's not announced. I'm getting so pumped, man.
Worth stating, Keeley did an AMA this morning and said, no, RE3 is not part of the Game Awards. So
Hey, good. Good for him.
I thought we'd have the announcement by recording of this podcast. Like maybe it goes up on Friday, the trailer. Like I thought we would have seen it by now.
Holding it.
Yeah.
Jump Festa.
Jump Festa. When is that? Next week?
I
Is
don't
that late
remember.
next week?
Yeah, I don't
Who
remember.
knows? Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of that soon. It's one of those things I expect a trailer soon. Real quick. No, we talked about it. What you expect from an RE3 trailer, what you have to show, and I think it can't be CG. I think it can't be like the reveal of RE2, which did have some clips of gameplay. I think you need to blow out some scenes of gameplay in your trailer.
You know what's funny? This is... I usually get so upset when leaks happen, and I'm kind of not upset about this.
Same. It's that level of announcement.
I don't think this.
RE2,
Especially because that art is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just high res. You know, you just zoom in on that thing, and you're like, we're here. it's been announced. You know. So yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, that trailer's locked and loaded if they have it. There's nothing they can change now. So it is going to be some kind of a like ta-da, and it's just not gonna land. But I don't think it's gonna fizzle. It's gonna upset people, or no one's gonna laugh at it. They're still gonna be like, oh boy.
That's what's a bummer because that RE2 had that like just you're looking at a rat hanging out with a PlayStation controller for a second. You know, like it did have that ta-da moment. And you're right. I think that's
Dude,
right.
it's going to be some like SWAT team going in. Then you're going to see an umbrella badge on their arm. Like
Sure.
the umbrella unit. They're going to be investigating. Someone's going to get grabbed.
Yeah.
Then
You're
at
gonna-
the end, it's going to be like Nemesis, like there. Like, stars.
Yeah, you're going to get a cut to black stars.
Oh yeah, we need to hear it.
Absolutely.
Do you want to hear that?
No,
Oh.
I don't hear anything.
Okay. So, you know what I did want to talk about for a second is Bayonetta and Vanquish 10th anniversary bundle leaked on the Microsoft store.
Well, before we talk about that,
Sure, what?
we should talk about the.
You seem amused that I'm into the bit.
I like it. I like it. I was curious how long to let you go for.
Yeah.
You know, if you just noticed something odd happened, good on you. A lot of people are like, "What's happening right now?" But if you're like, "Oh wait, the podcast happened," didn't happen. If you missed the announcement, we are joining a sales network. We're joining the Roost sales network, and they're going to be handling sponsors for us. No sponsors just yet. We're still going through the process of. I mean, we are signed up, baby, but we're still going through the process of actually like what sponsors we will get, how those ad reads will happen. But we do have it's currently capped, but we do have a shout out tier on Patreon.com/EasyAllies.
Oh, so we got some shout outs?
So we got shout outs for the month of December. Yeah.
Jonesy.
So if you want shout outs now, we didn't actually talk about when we're going to be doing this.
Did you want them at the end of the podcast? That makes way more sense.
They're going to
actually.
be at the end, but
Okay,
you could do them
got it.
now if you want.
Bonus.
No.
No.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
gotta
curtain
wait.
call.
You got to throw to me when we do that.
I'll remember.
It is a $250 tier, which was previously the Frame Trap sponsor level. We'll get you a shout out on 4 of our 4 main podcasts: the Easy Allies podcast, Frame Trap, Reaction Shots, and Friend Code.
Cool.
I made the cut of Maine.
You're Maine, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I mean, we don't have. Yeah, those are.
Oh, Jones,
That's
please
it.
stop.
We just don't have
I
any
guess
other podcasts.
only podcast.
Google Bop.
Yeah.
Ian was flattered for a second, and you're like, well, we only have 4.
Yeah, no, I just.
Okay.
But I'm not doing it.
I
in a
really
fiasco
shouldn't have said
nonsense.
Maine.
It's time for This Week in Joker news. The Joker did drugs at a high school hockey game this week.
Wait, at the game? Like,
Yeah.
so he brought the drugs to the game and then
Phantom
did them.
Thieves?
Was he like in the?
I heard he bought them at the game too.
Yeah. So this is hashish, which I think is like
Is that cocaine? What is that?
it's something you smoke. It's definitely something you roll and smoke.
It was weird because he was also the only person in the stands.
Oh, so you saw this too?
Like
no,
a
I read
cigarette?
about it
Oh, okay.
on Kotaku.
Like a fat cigarette.
Those funny smelling cigarettes.
Like a fat, flaky cigarette is how you smoke
Flaky?
hashish.
How would you
Okay,
know that
okay.
it is flaky?
So
Are you the Joker?
I'm not the Joker.
Wait, the Dark
Prince of Nerd.
The Clown Prince of Nerd Media.
that's more like it.
So in 7th grade,
That's what we should have said.
in 7th grade, they had this program called Drug Quiz Show, where each school would have a team of 5 to 7 kids who would learn drug facts after school for maybe like a few weeks in a row, and then there would be a quiz show competition where you all have buzzers and it's like pretend like game show.
Kyle, was your school the streets?
My school was not the streets, but it's so weird. Like most of my drug facts come from then. You know what I mean? Like, oh, angel dust, and like nobody. That's not a thing anymore, right? But I'm like uppers and downers, do this and this. Yeah. And so it's weird. I learned a lot of drug facts.
That
in
sounds-
You
7th
retained
grade.
that very well.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I mean, so I was thinking about it last night. This is weird. I was thinking about this last night. I think that drug education in middle school and high school, the best you can hope for is to teach kids which drugs are very bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, what my goal
There
would
are
be
gaps.
is to say like marijuana, like don't smoke it, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Like that's what I would try to do. Because like there's drugs that can ruin your
The
life.
emphasis
You
on
know?
try, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do crack.
And so to say like don't do any drugs is like that's super hard to say to a child, but also just like let them have the ones that won't ruin their life in a way if they're going to.
Do you go top down or bottom up? Do you start with like the definitely don't do this, or do you
Yes.
work your way up
Yeah.
with it?
I think you start with
You
a
go like
definite.
Faces of Death style, and you just literally go straight to the end. Oof.
I did not expect a Faces of Death reference.
I didn't
in today's
expect a
podcast.
hashish reference, but here we are.
From 7th grade, no less.
That drug quiz show sounds like a much, I guess, more effective in a bad way version of Dare, where all that did was teach everyone how to
Dare.
do drugs. But like, man, yours is just straight up. Here are drugs.
Yeah.
Man,
I read a lot of pamphlets.
Phil here is going to do drugs on stage, so you can go through.
Phil's dead.
What drug
You got
is
enough-
Phil on?
You got enough drugs there.
you have 5 minutes before
Let me feel
Phil.
his skin. Hold on a second.
Okay, it is time for love and respect.
Love and respect.
Is this podcast normal?
No.
This is my first time watching. Is this going to be a normal podcast or what is this?
Close the
I
tab.
feel like you can't have a first time with the Easy Allies podcast. Like even if it's your first time, if you stick around, you've watched like 3.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
if you make it through the whole thing, you're in for life.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with a hard game. This is a game I would not want to play. This is going to be a hard game.
Cool.
From Anton Pershkin. Hey, Allies, let's play a game called Name a Video Game with This Word in the title. As the name suggests, panelists have to take turns naming video games with the selected word in the title until someone can't come up with an answer.
These are the
I
worst.
hate these.
These are the worst.
I hate these.
These are the
yeah.
worst. Each panelist has 1 minute. No, they don't. Each panelist has 10 seconds. If the answer it provided is under question, the game continues as usual. Okay. All right, here we go.
Am I in
Where
on
we
this?
start?
Ian, you're in on this.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
what's the rotation? Who are we
start,
starting with?
Start with Ian.
No.
Yay!
Well, starting is probably good. I
It
guess.
is good. Yeah, it's the easiest spot to be in. Then Jones, then Ben, then Brad, then Ian, then Jones, then Ben, then Brad.
Ian's got a computer in front of him.
and
now.
then we'll change who
I
starts.
won't Google. I
That's
don't
true.
cheat. I don't cheat on.
I believe.
He won't cheat.
All right.
Don't believe.
The word is, Ian, legends.
Elder Scrolls Legends.
Jones.
X-Men Legends.
Ben.
Legends of Dragoon.
Brad.
No, I don't know.
Or wait,
Brad's out.
took mine,
Ian.
dude.
It's okay to cheat, it turns out. Okay. Ian.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's not a game.
Okay, so Ian's out. Jones.
X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse.
Oh,
Fine. Ben.
dirty.
Mega Man Legends.
Yes.
Jones.
No.
I said Legends of Dragoon.
It was
but
fine.
Yeah, there's Legend of
I
Dragoon.
I was assuming that I was going to
I
say
was
the word
wrong.
Legends, and my brain was going to supplant some sort of JRPG in there.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
That was
Ben.
like Legends of Cold Steel.
So if no one calls you out, it's okay. You got by. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
No one calls you
yeah.
out.
I mean, like I immediately.
Also,
Alright.
I played dirty, and that's not fair.
Jones, you go first. That is totally fair. That's a strategy. We could have done Mega Man Legends too.
I
as
thought
well.
about it, but
Yeah.
then I said as long as I add Rise of the Apocalypse to it,
we didn't do any
that's
Legends.
definitely a
Zeldas,
game that I
dude.
played.
Yeah. All right. Chronicles. Jones.
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Nice. Ben.
Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay.
Well done, Brad.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yes, Ian.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah, Brad. Sorry, Jones.
I'm out.
Okay. Ben.
Final Fantasy Chronicles.
Sure, Brad.
No,
Didn't he say that already?
Jones
said
said Crystal
Crystal
Chronicles.
Chronicles.
Is
Final
Chronicles?
Fantasy-
It's this PS1 thing.
Yes.
Yeah, Brad.
Xenoblade Chronicles to Torna.
That's an expansion.
I'm gonna allow it. Ian.
Chronicles of Narnia. They
It's a
made
game.
They
It's a
made a
game.
game out of it.
Ben.
Chronicles.
Brad.
I'm blanking.
I'm out.
Brad's
Wow.
out. Ian
I'm
wins
out.
that round.
Whoa.
Wait, Ian, Google if there's a game called Chronicles. Just to be safe.
How are you gonna Google Chronicles?
It's
Ben-
funny
Ben
how
could be
like
in.
your brain like.
Put
You
in
were,
the
you were
quotes.
talking about this during the first one, but you're like, I'm only trying to think of JRPG titles.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Is there an Assassin's Creed Chronicles?
Yes, there's multiple. That's like that whole series of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh.
And I thought there was an Chronicles Advance, but it's Tactics Advance.
Yeah. Okay, Ben, you start on this one.
Okay.
Origins.
Final Fantasy Origins.
Nice. Brad.
Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah. Ian.
Hang on. Silent Hill Origins.
Yeah. Jones.
Batman Arkham Origins.
Yes. Ben.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yes.
Oh,
Brad.
I'm out, dude.
Okay, Ian.
That X-Men one is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Is there a Lara Croft Origins? The Temple of Osiris? No, I don't think Origins in there.
Jones.
I'm out.
Nah, give it to Ben, man.
All right.
Toast.
Toast.
That would have been. I think I would have been out there. I didn't have one in mind.
So it's not Lara Croft Origins, but maybe there's a Tomb Raider
The
Origins.
Chronicles and Origins are both of those PS1
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's and there's another one, but I don't want to say it because that word might come up.
So Brad, you start this one.
Okay.
Revelations.
Resident Evil Revelations.
Nice. Ian.
Resident Evil Revelation 2.
Yep. Jones.
Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Oh, that
Yep.
was the one.
Ben. Brad.
Darksiders Revelations.
Is that real?
No.
Okay.
Why did you bring it up?
Ian.
Move on.
Oh, you're right. The rest of the panel's supposed to do it. Yeah. Ian.
Well, I don't know if this counts, but there's that box set that sells both Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 in one thing.
Doesn't count. Jones.
Damn.
Toast.
You won.
Okay. All right. I don't know who won that one.
Revelations.
Oh man, I was going to say Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, who won
There's,
that?
there's so
Ben?
many big ones that I'm missing.
Did Jones win that?
There's
one?
Jones.
Oh, I guess Jones won that just from getting
Nice.
one. Yeah. All right. Let's just do one more actually.
Okay.
And this one's gonna be really hard. So Brad, you started that one, right? Mm-hmm. Ian.
Oh, man.
Super.
Oh boy.
Oh, Super Mario Bros. 3.
Oh my God. Jones.
Super Metroid.
Ben.
Super Baseball.
Brad.
Super Mario World.
Yep. Ian.
Super Star Wars.
Great. Jones.
Super Castlevania 4.
Ben.
I'm out.
Whoa.
About
Brad.
I'm blanking. I'm blanking.
That's the problem.
Superstars? Mario Superstars? Is that what it's called? I forgot.
We'll count it.
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Brad.
Oh,
Sorry, Jones.
yeah.
Super Mario Brothers.
Brad.
Didn't I do
my
that?
God.
Oh, I'm out. Okay.
No, you're not
Super
out.
Mario Brothers 2?
Yes. No, that's right.
that true?
Ian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super Mario World.
I already did that.
Oh, you
Brad
said
did
World
that
already?
Yeah.
Kyle's face
Super
makes
Mario,
it harder.
Super Mario. New Super Mario. New Super Mario Bros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll count it.
counts.
We'll count it. Jones.
Oh, Super Mario Odyssey.
Yep. Brad.
Shit, Super Mario Galaxy?
Yep. Ian.
Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yep. Jones.
Super Tennis.
Sure, Brad.
Super Mario 64?
Yeah, Ian.
Super Tetris.
No, Jones.
New Super Mario Brothers U.
Yes,
New
Brad.
Super Mario Brothers U Luigi version?
No. Yes, yeah, that's a separate package. I'll allow it.
Oh no!
You can buy that in a box. Jones.
Super Bases Loaded.
What the
Brad.
hell is that? Super Slam Dunk?
Yes, Jones.
What?
I don't know.
Super
Slam Dunk
Punch
is So
Out.
not a game.
We have
Super Punch
okay.
Out's
All
really
right.
good.
All right.
Super Bases Loaded might not be, but
Yeah. Fun game. So
for
Brad.
the record, there are 287 of those on the Super Nintendo, man. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just like
Super.
And so many Smash Bros. Games. You could have kept going on Smash
Yeah.
Bros.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I
Ultimate.
was
Melee.
only thinking of Super Nintendo.
Is it Super
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey or is it just Mario Odyssey?
I believe it's Super Mario.
I think it's Super Mario
They
Odyssey.
just kept going with the Super.
Super Bases Loaded is real.
The format of the game is the worst. Like, because you think about blanking more than you think about the
Yes,
game.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
There's too
forgot
many
the
options,
name.
none fit in your
Yeah.
head.
I forgot the name of Super Smash Brothers
Super
until he
C.
called on me. I was
Damn
like,
it.
Super C!
Damn it.
Super C!
I'm sorry, Super C.
Okay. This one's fun. Sometimes I just like a wild scenario.
Okay.
Gotta be honest. So it's just a wild one.
Wow. Well,
Hey, allies. My girlfriend is somewhat of a casual gamer. She plays League of Legends.
That's the hardest core.
He was just like
I
so
know.
disdainful.
I know. That's why
in
he's
the eye of the
laughing
storm.
at League of Legends. Because it's not a big deal to Kyle.
Okay. I would stop there and I'm like, this is a winner. All right. My girlfriend is somewhat of a casual gamer. She plays League of Legends, Animal Crossing, and Stardew Valley. But myself, I play almost every game that comes out and complete maybe 100 or so games a year, always have. She and I end up having discussions about video games, and there's some concepts that I bring up where she doesn't understand them at all or isn't impressed by the thing as much as I am. This has led me to thinking about the language of video games and how so much has been taught to people like us through years and years of iteration without us even realizing it. I think Breath of the Wild, and even more on the other side of that, Nier and Nier Automata, are great examples of discussions I've had with her where she just doesn't get it. In Breath of the Wild, I told her about how I couldn't find a sphere in one of the beasts to create an electrical current to open a gate, so I dropped my metal weapons and created a line connecting the two, and the electricity went through that instead. This, to her, was just meh. But to me, it was the defining moment of the entire game. And in Nier and Nier Automata, the moments toward the end where you can choose to give up your save file or destroy someone else's is one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever done in a game, period. And my girlfriend thinks I'm being overdramatic. Have any of you ever had any situations like this with a loved one where they just don't get it at all? Love and respect, Zach Quest.
Way yes.
Way yes?
Yeah, and into it to a way that like it bothers me because Abby and I spend a lot of time playing games together, and she's been great at it, and it's cool seeing her get more interested in games and having the games that we play get more varied. And like when you're just enjoying it, you just start talking like the way that I would talk to you guys, and I will throw out an abbreviation. Or I'll mention like, oh, little dip in the frame rate there. Like, and I'm not trying to not do that. And she'll just be like, what are you talking about? And then I'll explain it. And it's just like some things, it's just like, well, I don't care. Like I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But that's everything. Like there are plenty of times I'll hear people talk about sports and it's like, what are you even saying?
Yeah.
Like I know how football is played. I know the rules of football in a general sense, but people can talk about football in a way where it sounds like another language. That's any hobby where there's intense interest in it and it's lasted for a number of years.
So we all think Zach should probably break up with his casual girlfriend.
Please.
No.
Oh, man.
But like,
You couldn't just let it lie. It was already so pointed.
but
you know?
like the thing you gotta
It was already-
realize,
Clearly, we were like in a therapy session, man. And like, you
He was
had
just
to
waiting for it, dude. I love it. That was building.
the point is like the point, what makes it interesting and what makes it fun sharing games with another person, and like what makes it fun sharing games with you guys, is we don't all value the same thing.
Yeah, of
course.
Like if you just want people to think all the moments that you think are cool, then you're just gonna have another copy of yourself, and that's not fun at all. So like, she doesn't care. Let her just not care. Like, figure out why she's interested in watching the game.
Find the joy in that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. When
Yeah.
you talk to someone and they're like, what do you mean? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, let me actually try to explain this. Or, recognize before you even open your mouth, like, this is a losing battle here. Like, that'll come up sometimes where I'll be like, And Amanda's like, what? And I'm like, it's, never mind. It's like, it would take me 15 minutes. Even like in Fallen Order, I'm like, she's watched Star Wars films, but it's like, this was there's a cutscene that led to a cutscene, and it wouldn't have that impact if I like played telephone and tried to explain this moment. But like same thing goes, for like books that Amanda reads or television shows that she watches, where like I'll be watching and some character will walk in the room and she's like, and I'm like, what just happened? And she's like, well, never mind. It's just if you're working right now or something else is happening. But like I love that stuff. Like I think that's really fascinating. And as you were bringing up, it's fascinating with the allies where I'll like come into the office and I'll be like, I gotta tell Damiani, is he not here? Damn, and it's just like, what happens? Like, wait, I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah. A cool thing happened in a Mario game.
Yeah, or like, or I finally get something that they then later, brought up. The Soul's a classic example where it was like, it was one thing to understand what you meant, where I was like, well, I don't understand it's tough to get progression. And, like games are all about progression for me. That's why I love grinding. It's like, I like even just little gains is such a big deal. And I just don't get those from Souls. And then like when Bloodborne clicked, it was like, I get it. I get it now. Not just I read it on paper, but like I've lived it now and I totally understand it.
The funniest thing to me about all of this is like League of Legends is too hardcore for like all of us.
So League of Legends, she's not casual.
Yeah, but like she could be playing hundreds of hours in like diamond rank at League of Legends.
I actually
and it's like he's playing 100 games and she's like master class.
And probably the implication there is that he doesn't care about League of Legends.
Right.
Correct.
Like she's probably talking in League of Legends to him, and he's like, "What are you talking about? What's a ADC? What's an AD carry? Like,
When those Riot announcements happened, I played one game of League of Legends. I installed it, I played one game, and then I uninstalled it. It was fun.
I played TFT the other day, and it was pretty crazy.
TFT is
Teamfight Tactics.
Teamfight Tactics.
Oh, cool.
The other thing that I want to say that is also frustrating about the internet is like, sometimes it feels like everybody's rushing to have the same opinion. And so to have somebody that is like, I don't care, or that's boring in real life, like that's a really precious thing, I think. Like that will allow you to have an actually unique experience rather than just seeing people say the same thing over and over again.
The other thing too that's awesome is, this sounds like she's playing Animal Crossing and League of Legends and the third one.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, like these are games she's living with.
Right.
These are games she's going back to again and again and again and creating, families in Stardew Valley and, this huge growing town and like trying out all these different characters and strategies and getting better at the game, having wins, having losses. That is an experience that you aren't having. If you're playing 100 games, you do what we just did. Where we're like, did Resident Evil 2? I mean, I knew it came out in January, but like you forgot. You were like, oh, it's a 18 game. Like that's what happens when you just keep getting Happy Meals and keep throwing those burgers back and and it's those burgers are delicious, but you kind of lose track of like what happened, what game was better than what, how many games have been released in one franchise versus another. Where I said this, I did an editorial on Kappa Jones, where like every time I think about Grand Theft Auto Online, it's like, oh, I wish I could only play that game. I really wish I could have a yacht and have these, buy these crazy houses and do heists and all this stuff, but like I just don't have the time to invest. That's why I love having Damiani's obsession with 14. It's so cool for him, when an update happens, your obsession with Monster Hunter, like to have these games that we do allow ourselves to like really, really dive into in a smaller sense, Huber with Destiny, that like, because that is a completely unique perspective and very much a part of the whole gaming conversation. As important, I think, as playing Modern Warfare and then Jedi Fallen Order and then Death Stranding and then,
So what one might say is that if you just play like and beat a bunch of games, that's maybe more casual. than
Dude,
getting
yeah.
super hardcore into a couple
I want
of
her to
games.
write in to Love and Respect. I want her perspective on the weird stuff, you know, she brings up that he's like, what are you talking about? But abbreviations is a big one. Whenever I talk to whenever I intentionally try to, you know, dumb down is a really nasty way of saying it. But like when I try to, you know, have a more conversational
stupid.
vocabulary when I'm telling a video game story to like my, you know, parents or friends that I know don't play games, I'll often say like FPS or RPG and they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, sorry. Oops, my bad.
Simple strategies, just human interaction.
Yes.
Change the volume of your voice sometimes and just also change the pace of your talking. So when something is really exciting, you take it here. But then when I just laid those swords down, you wouldn't believe what happened. You got to make eye contact. You got to grab them in. You got to relate it to something you know they like. So it's like when you're working when you're just making tea. You need electricity, right? And so then I take my swords and I laid them down.
I don't know. It sounds like you didn't know how to solve that puzzle.
I agree. I agree with you on the human interaction thing, but I've also learned that it's way more fun to show somebody something than to just sit there and talk to them about it. Like, if you think something is really cool in a game, share that experience. Like, that's going to be way more interesting than you trying to do it justice with words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should try explaining modular synthesis to someone who doesn't, to anyone, because it's hilarious.
I couldn't do it.
Just change your rate of voice.
Yeah.
The
Maths was modulating morphogene, and it was sampling this splice in different sizes and
Ian,
morphing
this
it
is
over
good.
time. And then Bloom was fractally sequencing the drum machine.
This is a YouTube channel I would watch. This is good.
Just terms.
But he like explodes on the first part of every. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
nice.
You know what was a big sticking point recently was game engines, the concept of game engines.
Oh, sure.
And I thought that was interesting.
How'd you go about it?
Just trying to, I guess just trying to say like the thing that allowed this to be, the tools that made it happen. So just a very general explanation, but like I get why that would be confusing, or like why not everyone is using the same game engine, or she was like, how, do people just get those tools? And I thought like, oh, that's a good question. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. It's really fun doing that.
It's like trying to explain our job to
Yeah, that
like,
happens
to like
a
an
lot.
aunt.
I
think
truly don't bother with that.
Yeah.
To like myself.
Yeah.
a high percentage of my family thinks that I make video games.
Yeah. Back when we worked at
Why
game
tell them they're
trailers, everyone thought we just made game trailers. And I was like, after a while, I was like, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We did. We made a couple.
Sometime.
So I can feel the Dark Prince rising within me. I want to play a Dark Prince game. This is another little nasty one. Happy holiday greetings, allies. With the insanity of fall releases mostly finished, I thought it was the perfect time for the latest edition of They Said What? The Real or Fake Review Blurb Game. I have chosen some of the top scoring games on Metacritic from the last 6 to 12 months and looked at their worst review. For each game, I've supplied a quote that is either real or fake. Can the panel guess if these are quotes from an actual review or completely made up? For the record, I felt terrible making up fake bad reviews for legitimately great games. We don't care about that. If the review quote is real, I included the score, love and respect, anachronistic timepiece.
This is classic frame trap.
This is a good game, yeah.
Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Fake. Oh, sorry.
There's simply little in Sekiro to make it stand out in a vast ocean of releases, rendering it more of a footnote in the gaming market than the product of a distinguished auteur's imagination.
Real.
Fake.
Real.
Oh,
Wow.
We don't call out who. That's the one
like,
part.
who wrote that?
That's the only reason I'm okay with this game.
Okay.
Like this game is like bad-natured for sure. Ian, that was a 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not hard to
Can we
find
just
out
like
that-
say
to find that review.
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
I
don't look, though,
disagree?
You
I
can say that.
disagree.
Yeah,
I
you can say that.
disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Reginald, I disagree.
I disagree.
Oh yeah, I mean we look at the top-rated games, so like we're probably gonna disagree on all of these, right?
Yeah, but I like super disagree.
Okay.
It is a bizarre. Yeah, it's a strange take.
Final
I need more
Fantasy
information.
14 Shadowbringers.
okay.
The only shadow brought by this passable entry is that of disappointment. The game screams at the player about how cool it is, Warriors of Darkness, but does little to demonstrate that coolness outside of cutscenes.
Fake.
Fake. That has to be fake, right?
That's fake.
Yeah,
That's
the,
fake.
the shadow play was too much, too easy.
Too clever for a reviewer, you think?
Well,
Okay,
it was
all
too. I could see him looking at the game and being like, "What do I do? Oh, I could play on maybe the title or
Sure.
saying cool was like
Cool.
Monster Hunter World Iceborne. The Nergigante-sized grind Iceborne presents the player with is the equivalent of putting the winter's hottest fashions at the end of an American Ninja Warrior course. With enough grit, you'll eventually get there, but you'll be sweaty, bruised, and perhaps a bit nauseated.
Yeah, it's not that bad, my friend.
real.
Real.
I'm gonna
That
say
is also-
real,
that's
yeah.
real.
It's real.
That one's fake.
Oh, damn!
okay.
Good, right?
That's why
sounded like-
anachronistic
that
time
was
is. Yeah,
fantastic.
he's good at this.
was-
Lowest score was 80, by the way, for that game.
Yeah.
So there was no bad
Yeah.
review to play this game with. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was we couldn't find a bad example of that one. Tetris Effect. Not everyone out there has wondered what it would be like to play Tetris while at a rave. And though it's fine to include the option to have your pieces pulsate or glow in the dark with purple glitter or clutter the screen with fireworks or volcanic explosions, there doesn't appear to be any way to disable the majority of the style over substance effects.
Real.
I think
Real.
I just like reviews less now.
On the other hand, this is the YouTube channel I want. It's just Kyle reading the lowest review on Metacritic. Just wait a week until all the reviews go out.
This
wait
is
a week
real.
or two. I think it's real as well.
I would have said fake. That one's real.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think
That
I
one's
read that
real.
review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
70 though. Like not even a bad score.
Yeah.
Still got a 70. Yeah.
That sounded brutal.
Yeah.
though.
It
Shut
did
it.
sound
Shut it
brutal,
down.
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh no.
Where's Mario?
It's fitting that a game about ghosts is itself a specter of rosier times. The ghost smashing mechanic is a thrill, sure, but then you realize it's the only mechanic you need to rely on for far too many encounters.
Fake.
Real.
Real.
Yeah, it seems real.
That's fake.
Okay.
Jones, what made you smell that one?
Well, a lot of these seem like the last couple sentences. You know, it's like when you try to wrap up your whole sentiment, and that
seemed like a
seems so
nitpick.
narrow-minded.
Sure.
You know, like even for argument's sake, even
Yeah.
if you're trying to make a point there, that seemed a little off.
I get that. Fire Emblem, Three Houses.
All the games Ben hates.
Man. It's like an anti-RPG.
I'm telling you, man, I am subbing to this channel.
Just that. I'm gonna say real.
You're gonna have the most fun in the opening section of the game, and once it fully opens itself up to you, that's when the monotony sets in. The better part of 60 hours in, and we're fatigued and frustrated with the Switch's latest fantasy offering.
That's real.
Real.
Say real.
That's real. What a sweep.
I disagree.
How did everyone know that was real?
You know what?
Because
Switch's latest
I feel like
offering.
reviewers
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
do that.
Okay.
Like, you made me do. The monotony sets in. Like, they love doing that.
You know what got me was the use of the word "we,"
How do you say that's the anti-RPG?
Oh,
what does
we?
that even
Sure.
mean?
because he hadn't said that in any of the other things. And just again, which also is a little bit telling of maybe where. I mean, it doesn't narrow it down too much, but
Kyle-
that's probably a big outlet.
That's the kind of
bigger-
shit where I'm like, do you even like games? Like, just be honest with yourself. It's okay if you don't like games, but you need to look inside and say, do I like games?
This was not a feel-good game.
That's what the thing is. So yeah, I want to make it clear. No hard feelings to other reviewers. We're all playing the same game here.
Right.
We're all, yeah.
Well, the thing about this
You
channel
could,
is
you could do that to us.
every video that
exactly,
you make
yeah.
on this channel, Kyle, you need to then be the conclusion of the video.
Yeah.
Where it's just you angry.
Rebuttaling.
Well, it's the same
I
end.
didn't even play this game.
Yeah,
How-
it's the same end to every video. Like, do you even like games? Do you
Yeah.
even like games?
I've deserved it. Do you even like games a few times in my life for sure?
What did they give that?
Oh, they gave it a 60.
What did the Daily Star give that?
Oh, stop.
Ian, no calling people out.
They called themselves that.
The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening on Switch. Do you want to see a Terminator attacking White Walkers with Jon Snow?
Yes.
What about Neo flying in to help Cap and Iron Man?
Yes.
What game
So
is this for?
why in the world are there Goombas in a Zelda game? Nintendo had a chance to make things right, and they failed to deliver.
This gotta be fake.
fake.
That's
Yeah,
fake.
That's
Yeah, this is fake.
Thank you for giving us a good one. Yeah.
I
that
so
was-
hope that
was-
would have been real though.
It's fun.
I
Okay.
like to think if that was real, that they were into it until then. They walked down that ladder and they were like,
Mortal Kombat 11. This is a fighting game that is enjoyable almost despite the gore.
Fake.
Hold on, I'm gonna keep going. Not because of it. Its bonkers story mode is the highlight here. The great animation and crunching impacts help, but then the Towers of Time throw a spanner in the works at the last moment.
real.
Real.
Yeah. Spanner in the Works made me think it was real.
That's so weird. It's real.
Oh my god.
How do you sniff out spanner in the works?
It's just too stupid a thing to say.
oh my god, no. All reviews are fine. All reviews are fine.
But there's just something, like these are all slightly obnoxious, but like that one seems like it's part of a conversation.
Well, I something that I've noticed, I think, in the real ones is they do tend to be more specific, like calling out this aspect of the game. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we're talking about Towers of Time specifically, not referring to it in a general sense.
Well, but there's also like a need in written publications to like elongate the articles needlessly to keep ad sales up, you know?
Oh, sure. And I mean, like,
So like writing gets really tedious and uses phrases like spanner in the works.
I kind of like it. I don't know what it means.
It's like a wrench.
Like,
It's like a
throwing
British version of wrench.
like throwing a wrench in a bunch of gears.
Yeah.
Okay. Control. Thanks to poor, bigger is better design choices, technical gaffes, obtuse exploration, a bromidic narrative, and zero atmosphere, Control is soul-crushingly disappointing
Zero atmosphere?
and a mere shadow of the studio's far superior Alan Wake.
Oh,
my
that's
God.
fake.
Fake.
This is
I'm gonna say real.
it's real because it's so wrong.
It's real.
Oh,
It's real.
Oh boy.
That's a real one. That's a 40. 40 for Control.
Oof. Alan Wake fan coming in hot.
Yeah, that is what that is, right?
need-
flashlight?
I need
Where
a
are my
40 after
shaking
that.
Tractors? No shaking tractors. 40.
Wow. That was
I
a
get it.
fun game.
That was definitely some dark
I don't feel
Prince
good.
of Nerd media.
Oh, yeah. That's
That
what I
was-
think.
yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let's do
Of all
Stirring
the
the
ones
pot.
you read, I'm gonna hunt that one down.
No,
I
don't
wanna
hunt
read
anyone
that.
down. Please do not
I've
Not the
hunt
hunted all
person.
of
I'm gonna
them
read
down.
that review though, because I'm hoping the Zero Atmosphere got a paragraph somewhere. Where they were
Zero
like,
atmosphere is a strange thing to say.
you know,
Like, no judgments, but that's a strange one.
that room that was all red and white and moved around.
All right, let's do a little sweet one. Let's do a little sweetie.
That's the channel I want.
Upside down pyramids.
We're gonna do a little sweetie to get Brad's spirits back up.
Please do.
Not a question, but some thanks. I moved into the sticks of the sticks in Japan a few months ago for work. While that may sound exciting and full of raw, fresh anime and amazing opportunities, it has also pulled me away from the positivity and familiarity of my friends, family, and significant other. The time difference between here and back home has made it pretty difficult to play with friends, which has hit pretty hard this holiday season. With that said, I wanted to say thank you for all the hard work that is put into the Easy Allies and for the positivity it brings with it. Catching up on streams, BoxPeak, and the podcast have been a big part of helping me push myself to adapt and are some of the few things that have reminded me remained stable in a strange and lonesome time of eating convenience store melon bread and fried chicken under my heated table. Much love and respect, Nakita.
I feel better now. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nakita.
Yeah, so thanks right back at you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sticks of the sticks. And that's the thing is, like, I heard sticks of the sticks of Japan. Cool. And it's like, no. It's actually like
Melon bread.
It
Delicious.
sucks. Yeah. It's like it's interesting. Yeah, I like that. Cool. All right, it's time for bets. We did have a bet last week about Life is Strange 2, episode 5. which released Tuesday, December 3rd. I went to the top 10 most recent reviews on OpenCritic. How many times would I see the words cry, cried, or crying? Jones, you bet 8. Bloodworth bet 24. Damiani bet 10. I bet 2. Ian bet 14. When I went to look for the reviews today, there were 6. 2 of them not in English. So we're really talking about 4 reviews here. And among the 4 reviews for Life is Strange Chapter 5, 1 cry.
1 cry.
Yep. And Jones, even though you pouted, even though you mocked my bet of 2 last week, I think I just went ahead and won this week.
Yeah.
Did you win, Kyle? Did you
I won.
win something?
I won something.
You did?
Dark Prince
Is it
of
tangible?
Media.
So the final score
Okay,
of
there. Okay.
the
Yeah,
final
yeah.
score of the 2019 season is Scrappy Little Pigs 25,
Oh my god.
Gorgeous Gorillas 27.
Oh, did we win?
You won. Yeah.
Shortening the gap.
That's some Funky Kong enhanced right
Yes.
there.
Shortening
Yes.
the gap, Kyle. I appreciate. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
And so totals, Jones, you 13, me 12. We're actually split really close. Ian did get the most points for
Nice,
the Gorgeous
Ian.
Gorillas this year.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
yeah.
What is it, 7? That's from the Kev Board
Yeah.
Arts thing?
7, Bloodworth 6.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. You really caught up here at the end. That was crazy.
Yeah, unprecedented.
Now, there are people who like truly care, and I appreciate this, so I want to talk to them. So we're only 2 points behind, right? And we have many more podcasts this month. And so I have to explain why there's no possibility of us winning, Jones. So next week is the Game Awards episode.
Yes.
Jones will not be here for that podcast.
I probably will.
Really?
It's a hard party to get into, that after party. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
If you know how,
I'm pulling
give me a ring.
dude.
All right.
It's hard, man.
If you can get Jones into the after party, contact him on Twitter at Trailer Jones.
You would think if you get the prestige of being able to vote
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
judges,
on
man.
the most popular video game award show.
Yeah.
Getting into the party afterwards would not be that.
From what I understand, Jones, it's a completely different group.
Of course, yeah, and it's just parties in
Can you
general.
help him out or
Yeah.
something?
I
Could you
can't.
even
No,
go?
I-
What
do
I
you
don't-
mean?
I don't
Some
get
would
invited to
say-
the after party. No,
A main group.
You don't
Yeah.
get invited?
I do not get invited. No.
What? But wait, I don't know. You knowing you probably wouldn't want to go.
I would
You
not
wouldn't
want to
go.
go.
Right.
Of course not.
I have been in the past, been invited. Actually, I went 1 year.
And to clarify, it's not a prestige thing. It's just there's just people travel to Los Angeles for this, and
Yeah.
so it's an opportunity to introduce Easy Allies to people. That's like kind of the main thing. Hi, I'm Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm from Easy Allies. Do you know about us?
Man, it was so hard.
Okay.
Being at the after.
All right, then I'll see you again next year.
I'm just remembering that one party I went to was so weird. It was like a Viacom executive, whose name I won't say, was like, "Hey man, you," and I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "How are you doing?" It's like, "Good."
Was he doing cocaine, dude? What's going on?
Just a high energy guy, just an enthusiastic high energy guy.
You know where they'll send somebody and somebody will go to something and they'll have the cam on their glasses or something, and then they have a whole cast behind the scenes that's telling them what to say, like punked style.
Yeah.
I want to punked you at a party. I want
Yeah.
you to go, and then I'm like, Kyle, tell me he has a nice tie. Tell me you like the tie.
Jones, I was hanging out with
tie.
Vinyaki, your buddy, and Adam Boyes. They were hanging out, and it was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, come and talk in this circle with us." And it's like high school. I'm like, I'm not cool enough to be in this circle right now. You know what I mean? Like, you were talking a level above me. I couldn't hang.
Well, they're probably talking stats.
No, they were
Numbers.
They were talking like funny goofs and just riffing
Oh.
off each other like total cool people.
And we all know you hate funny goofs.
Well, I'm not cool. You know what? I'm not going to the after party, Ben. Jones, somebody's going to help you out. I know it. I know we have one listener who's there for you.
Okay.
Yeah. What did I do?
You told me you're right. I'm not going to go. You're like, I bet you're not going to go.
I mean, Kyle, I don't want to go either.
Okay, great.
I just.
We just want to hang and record a podcast.
We're going to be
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I got games to play.
So anyway, we are recording next week's podcast right after the Game Awards, so we'll be able to cover all the hot scoops.
Ooh, scoops.
Hey, Keely said 10 new games.
Bayonetta 3 though.
Not a new game.
Not a new game. That's not a new
yeah,
game.
but that was a confirmation. I could read it. I could read it.
So we might have Jones, we might not. But what I was gonna say is, they have the
I
poison
love
thumb
if
still.
I'm here, it's like a loss.
Gorgeous Gorilla still has the poison thumb.
This is Easy Allies Podcast. Joining me this week,
Jones.
Jones.
And Jones didn't get in.
Jones
In my suit. Like,
Just here's the thing though, is I know that Jones could schmooze with Vignacchi and boys if we
Oh,
switch
dude,
joints.
Jones can hang.
You know
Yes.
what? He would probably like tell them like, "Oh man, I had this funny bit with Kyle," and he'd be a nice guy about it.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
I can hang. I know Jones could hang. Anyway, like if it is just me next week, it's like statistically impossible if you use the poison thumb against me. So it's just fine to end it where we've ended it, 25-27. That was the season.
That's right, baby.
Close season though. Good game.
Yeah.
Good game.
GG.
GG's.
GG.
And as the game concludes, that does mean that it is time for Ore Wars. How do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep inside you? How do I get myself back to the place where you said I want
Ore Wars.
Who wants in? Who's going first?
me.
Okay, Jones. Link in Mario Maker 2 or Geralt and Ciri in Daemon Ex Machina?
Link in Mario Maker 2.
Why?
Unexpected, all the abilities, happiness all around.
Okay, who's next?
Me.
Brad. Defense or special defense?
Special defense.
Why?
Because you'll block cooler attacks, or you'll get additional buffs.
Who's next?
Let's go.
All right, Ben. Working at Epic Games or working at Riot Games?
Working at Riot Games, show me that fighting game. Let's go.
Okay, great, great. Yes. Well navigated, yes. Ian.
Hey. Sorry, is the lyric in that song "When I Fell Asleep Inside You"?
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad
Continue.
enough hearing Kyle say it.
Nah, like in high school, like how cool was that song? So many. Okay. A lot of this is drugs, dude. Okay, Ian.
Yes, Kyle?
Keeping up to date on impeachment hearings or Baby Yoda?
I can't be. Yeah. No, Baby Yoda.
Okay. All right.
Cutest fucking thing that ever happened, Baby Yoda.
Whoa.
By the way.
Brad won Ore Wars. Yes. For his defense of special defense. Though, Ben, I do want to give you a lot of credit for like nailing the Riot Games. Ian took the bait. He took the Ore Wars bait.
Got him.
And Jones, a little too simple.
Okay.
I need something more for you. I need like a zesty argument.
I almost said because Ian will beat me up if I don't give it to
Is
him.
this
Like,
is this
Yeah.
like the same email that he's gonna get from Keeley?
So this is like a little too simple.
Damn, man. That was good.
I'd love to have you at the party. I just don't get your hook, man. I don't.
A little too simple, Jones.
Jones, I
need a
I
new
love
gimmick.
you.
No,
I want
dude,
you to
I-
know I love you. I just it's too funny.
That's what I mean. That's what Ore Wars is. Ore Wars is intense.
Yep.
How do I get back there to the place where I fell asleep inside you? How do I get myself back to the place where you said I want
Ore Wars.
Great. Jones,
Yeah.
you want to do this now, dude?
Well, because he's gonna wrap up the show after this.
Yeah. Well, so we talk about we do Patreon plugs.
Okay.
We talk about patreon.com/easyallies, and if you give $5 or more a month, you get the podcast 2 days early, Fridays as opposed to Sundays. But I almost feel like this goes after that. I feel like this is more special than that.
It's your show, baby.
I don't want anybody to tune out though. Like Ore Wars happened, a lot of people skip to straight over to Ore Wars. They hear it twice and they're like, okay, I'm done. So I think maybe putting it as close to Ore Wars as possible is the place to put the shout outs.
Cool.
Let's do it.
We're only doing Ore Wars for a couple weeks, and we're back to bets in January.
Yeah.
With a new team.
If you put it after Patreon, you could go like, and you can get the $250 tier,
Yeah.
which gives you the shout outs. Take it away, Jones. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. Prime time, baby. Here we go. Patreon.com/easyallies. If you type that in to the search bar of your internet web browser, you're going to be taken to a web page that will have lots of information for you. You'll learn about the Easy Allies. If you scroll down a little more, you'll see some videos that we make. An important thing to know is that if you give money to this website, if you give $5 or more a month to the Easy Allies, you get this podcast on Fridays as opposed to Sundays. Even next week's podcast. Even the one that we're recording right after the Game Awards will be available to you on a Friday, which is pretty neat.
That is neat.
Another cool thing about patreon.com/easyallies is the shout-out tier. Brandon Jones.
Shout-outs to Accounts Payable, Elle Fanis, Caleb Crawford, Greg Kettering, Will Schmuck, and FantasyCritic.games.
Shout-out.
Shout-out.
Okay. So while I did win the bet, I think Brad's win over Ore Wars gives him all the rights and responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
No, that
Yeah.
bet was just... we're just kind of playing at bets. Ore Wars is the real deal now.
Yes. Ore Wars is scary, man. Yeah.
And frankly, more impressive than that
Yeah.
two cry nonsense.
You heard some cry nonsense. The
gloves are off.
Brad, you win the right and responsibility to share your Twitter handle with the world. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you want to promote. You get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in your head. You cannot say the banned phrase. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
Okay. You can follow me at BradleyEllis87. I want to promote the final episode of Box Peak Season 2, baby.
Yes.
Coming tomorrow, actually.
It's up.
For us. It'll be up for you guys now.
It's
tomorrow
up.
for us.
Yep.
Check it out. Kyle worked real hard on it. It's real good stuff. I'm super impressed. Just thankfully made such great content for us. Kyle,
Thanks, Brad.
you're a wizard, man.
Thanks, dude.
Sekiro's not 40. And sign off. Please, just let Jones in. Just let him in.
What I'm not a humongous fan of is Final Fantasy VII. What I am a huge fan of is marketing campaigns.
Sexy.